So I'm going to. So I'm going to sing my hello song. That is probably lots of your hello song too. And the reason I'm going to do that straight away is because when I start a session in the early years, I sing my ritual song, my opening song. So I'm going to sing it for you. And especially because I can see it on your very young face. So I'm singing especially for you. Are you ready? Hello everyone, glad that you are here. Hello everyone, glad that you are here. I, glad that you are here. I, glad that you are here. Oh, it feels so nice to sing to all of you. Okay, so that is my hello song. But sometimes I don't sing that because I get sidelined before I've even begun. So I might say, okay, hello, wave your hands. Hello, wave your hands. Hello, wave your hands. Wave your hands at me. And then I might look and see if anybody else is doing anything different. Oh, look, somebody's climbing up high. Hello, climb up high. Hello, climb up high. Hello, climb up high. Climb up high with me. I would spend a lot of time doing that, probably much longer than it needs just to get us to say hello to each other, because straight away, before I've even begun my session, as I'm moving into my first plans, there I'm going to be looking at how I can incorporate the people who are in the space into my plans and hope to turn them round so they become my plans that are their plans and are your plans. So I'm going to do a little bit of boring talking at the beginning. I have prepared a presentation that I'm going to send to you all afterwards, which I will tweak a little bit to include any questions or thoughts. So the first thing I'm going to say is what I think about when I talk about child-led music making. I really mean child-led music making. I believe that we can make our sessions, particularly in the early years, really completely reflect the musical needs and wants of all of the children that we're working with. Just takes some flexibility, and flexibility takes preparation and planning, doesn't it? So in our teaching practice and methodologies such as the Montessori approach, child-led teaching says we're putting children into a prepared learning environment where they can freely choose the activities they want to do. So if we imagine the music session is the prepared environment, and within that prepared, structured environment that you're introducing the children to, they can do whatever activities they want to do. That makes that a little bit easier to think about, because a lot of the time when people talk about child-led education, the instinct is to think, oh, well, then I don't need to do any planning. We're all going to just sit there with the children and they're bound to choose the wheels on the bus, so I'll have that prepared, and I'm absolutely sure they're going to need to do Baa Baa Black Sheep, so we'll definitely sing that one too. And it can soon be scuppered, can't it? And all of a sudden, you've gone from having that ambition for it to be child-led, but it actually is just the session you would have always done. So translating that idea of the prepared environment right across to music delivery, whether you're looking at project-based delivery, so short term, or whether you're looking at week in, week out, day in, day out music delivery, we've got that prepared environment in the child already. The child is like a garden full of amazing seeds that have been planted. Every song the child has ever heard is in there, germinating, ready to grow. I firmly believe that every time we soothe a child or sing to them or expose them to music in any way, we're kind of fertilizing the ground and coaxing the seeds of that capacity to enjoy music and steer it by our own decisions It's true that for some children, it's a little bit more difficult. We might have to work harder to till the soil. We might have to plant a few extra seeds. But once they're there, we can encourage the idea that children can make their own musical decisions. Not all children have the same musical experiences from birth, and sometimes that's because of regional differences. It might be to do with socioeconomic differences. It could just be to do with growing up in a rural environment and growing up in an urban environment. So, when you're looking at the young people you're working with, you've probably already looked at that and thought, who am I working with? Where are they from? What are their experiences? You should be able to gently level that playing field so that you understand the ground that you're working with and you understand what you're really going to be able to nurture in the children. So what I would really like to do, first of all, is I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to find my little link because I've got a Mentimeter for you to do. See if I can put it into the chat. So I've got a few questions that we're going to ask you using the wonder of Mentimeter. And the first one, I'm just going to put the link in the chat. If you can all access that, that's brilliant. If you're struggling, do unmute and tell me. So there's a little link in the chat. And you hopefully let me know if you can see the right page. It should say, what are the barriers to creating child-led activities? So I'd like you to answer that if you can access it. In the meantime, have any of you got any thoughts that you would like to kind of verbally express by unmuting yourself or in order to? Have we got the ability to unmute ourselves? I'm not sure. I'm just going to check because I'm getting absolutely nothing. Can anybody unmute? Does anybody have anything they want to say or ask?
Hi, just to say that we can unmute, and I missed that question because I was busy looking at the Mentimeter.
That's all right. Thank you so much for speaking to me. I was having one of those, is there anybody out there? Moments that Zoom brings to us all. No, the question is, has anybody got at this point anything they would like to say about what they think about child-led music making, what it means to you, or anything that you could bring to the beginning of this conversation that we're going to have?
Me again. Just the fact that, currently my delivery is all online. So yes. Just the difficulties of that.
Yes.
And then when we get back together, we still got to have that separation, keeping that, the safe measures and everything in place. So that impacting on how we can make something child-led.
Oh, yes. It's really profound, isn't it? And I found during the last easing of lockdown, we delivered some face-to-face sessions, and I found that was almost more challenging than the online sessions that we'd been doing. So yes, we'll definitely talk about how to make our online practice really as child-led as possible. Okay, so I'm just, yes, Heather.
I think working online, it's really difficult for it not to just end up being the teacher as an entertainer on screen with all the children, with parents or whatever, watching them. And I think the other challenge being that if you want any individual family to respond, then they can unmute, of course, but you can never do anything that involves everybody all at the same time, where everybody can hear everybody all at the same time. So those are real barriers for online music making for me.
Yes. Yes, we can look at that too. I definitely completely agree, and I've lived that experience, as I'm sure lots of people have. Is everybody who's accessing this session, are you all delivering online in some way at the moment? Yeah, lots of you are. I can see lots of thumbs up. Half and half, Polly, yeah. Yes, Bryony.
I'm actually delivering face to face. And I think that poses a problem because there's certain aspects of music that we would, for example, teach with like scarves or lycra or doing things with the children, and we can't go anywhere near them, which is difficult. And it's also difficult because particularly in the school that I work, they are bubbling with their class teachers, so they see us and they almost want to come straight up to you and like hug you. So it's like really difficult to try and first of all explain to them that they can't come near us, and that almost affects the delivery as well. Just being COVID safe, yeah, mainly. And also I'm not quite sure what child ed is like, to be honest. This is my first NYMAZ webinar, so I'm not quite sure, so that's why I'm here to learn. Sorry.
It's lovely to have you here, and yes, I completely understand those difficulties with, we all know we walk into classrooms full of children or settings full of children, and the first thing they do is come up to you, and that is a real challenge, isn't it? Because actually in safe practice, in your day-to-day normal practice, it's something to discourage, isn't it? But it's much more pressing and urgent to prevent it. And I'm just going to address that straight away. That I feel that's around conversations with the setting staff. Really, you know, making sure that they are prepared for you to walk in. And we're exciting, let's face it. We walk in and bring all that lovely music. It's exciting when we come into the space, but it's finding really creative ways of ensuring that the children are keeping a distance from you. So I've done some recent face-to-face sessions, and one of the things I asked the teacher to do was make sure they were all sat in the place where the teacher had encouraged them to be for the majority of the times, so that they were thinking in terms of, you know, because these children, they've talked about COVID continuously. They know about it and they know what's safe. And I crept into the room and I said, I've got to creep in really slowly and quietly, because I'm just going to make sure I'm very careful when I sit down, because we've all got to be so careful now. And I think that making your entrance as small as possible, instead of, hello, who's ready to sing our wonderful songs, which is what I would prefer. But that, if you make it small and quiet, I'm not saying it works every time, because that wouldn't be true. You've got a better chance of creating the idea that this session will be controlled. It's really easy to forget that. Yes, Kath.
Yeah, and also if you are whispering, they have to listen more carefully. So
yes, yeah. Which is...
I got confused with your question about the barriers. I didn't know whether it was like the big barriers like system or money or timetable, or specific barriers like a shy child or a parent with a child, or, you know. So I was a bit confused about the question that was in the chat box.
I think that's a really good answer in itself, isn't it? Because there are the big barriers and the small barriers. So I think that it's worth thinking about all of those barriers. So I'm just going to pull that slide up and share it with you in a moment. It's very strange when you're co-hosting someone else's Zoom when you're really used to you running your own. So I'm just going to share the oh no, I can't share the screen. Never mind, I'll share it later when we've worked.
Rebecca, I can make you host.
Okay, you could do if you want to.
Unless you know another way for you to share the screen.
I don't mind. You could give me permissions, but that might be really complicated. Do you want to just pass it over? Okay. All right. Okay, so this is what we've said. So we've got the technology glitches, limited resources, unflexible plan, too many children, like if you live in a shoe, right? Setting expectations. Oh, look, I love that. I love it when it does that so much. I'm very childish. It gets me very excited. Time Shyness, maintaining control. That's interesting. Fear, again, interesting. Singing together online, never going to be perfect, is it? Settings, expectations, COVID. Yeah, it's there. So have a little look at that. See if, obviously, other people, the bigger their words, the more people have expressed similar things. I'm going to stop that share. If you followed a look, I'll send you these later so you'll be able to have access to them. So that's really interesting for me. What a little snapshot of what the thoughts in the space are. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our first breakout because I want you to have a chance to talk to each other, which means I'm now in control, Sarah, of the break. I see what you've done now. She's clever. Okay, so I'm going to send you into breakout rooms, okay? And what I want you to talk about is, well, say hello to each other, share your experiences, talk about what you're doing now in terms of your music delivery, and touch on what you consider child-led music making to be, okay? So once you've had a good chat and you've found the joy in speaking to another human being, which is our everyday bread and butter, just have a little talk about what you as a group think child-led music making is. And I might ask you very briefly, one person from each group, to feed back your thoughts as a group. And don't worry if you don't all agree. That's okay, because this is participant-led opinion on what child-led practice is. You know, let's see how diverse it is. So I'm now going to, by the power of, yes, Heather.
Can I just ask, are we talking child-led music making across the board generally, or are we talking specifically for online music sessions?
For me, I am interested in us talking about it across the board, but how that ethos and kind of methodological approach across the board can be embedded into online delivery, because that's where some of us are now. Is that okay? Right, I'm just going to see how many people are in these rooms. Okay, so a couple of rooms, there are just 3 of you. The other rooms, there are 4 in each. I've randomly allocated them, which is so exciting. It's like the tombola